Okay, I want to start with a question that, it sounds like it's from a sci-fi novel, but
Yeah.
honestly, it's probably the most human question there is. If you were trying to heal, I mean really heal,
Mhm.
from addiction or deep trauma, are you fixing a broken machine or are you healing a soul?
That is the fundamental tension, isn't it? Is recovery just a matter of mechanics, rewiring some circuits, tightening a few screws in the biological hardware? Or is there something intangible, something that science can't quite capture?
Right, and usually we have to pick a lane. You either talk to the neuroscientist who treats you like a bag of chemicals, or you talk to the spiritual guru who kind of ignores the biology.
Yeah.
But today's deep dive is different. We're looking at a source who somehow inhabits both of those worlds.
Truly. We're unpacking a talk by someone named Anna. And just to give you a sense of who we're dealing with here, Anna is 74 years old, non-binary, they use they, them pronouns, and has a resume that, frankly, doesn't seem like it should exist in one person. We are talking a background in computer science and artificial intelligence combined with medical school and clinical psychology training.
So a coder and a clinician. That's already a really rare combo.
It is. But the most critical part of their expertise isn't on a diploma, it's their lived experience. They are a survivor of severe childhood trauma and addiction with over 40 years of recovery. So when Anna talks about the brain, it's not just academic theory, it's personal survival.
And that's the mission for this deep dive, right? To
Yeah, okay.
bridge that gap. Anna uses this term wetware, which I love. It sounds so
It's
cyberpunk.
a great word for the brain.
And the goal is to see if we can explain the nightmare of addiction and the process of healing scientifically without reducing a person to just, as Anna puts it, 85 million neurons firing in the dark.
Exactly. Where does the biology end and the person begin?
So let's pop the hood. Let's look at the hardware. Anna's description of the brain is, well, it's not very romantic.
No, not at all. Physically, it's a grapefruit-sized, jelly-like mass inside a hard skull, and it is incredibly high maintenance. One thing that really stood out to me is just how expensive this organ is to run.
Expensive how? Like energetically.
Energy, glucose, oxygen. Think about this. Your brain is maybe 2% of your body weight, but it demands something like 20% of your entire energy supply. It is a resource hog.
That seems completely disproportionate.
It is, but it explains so much about early recovery. When someone's trying to quit a substance or even just recover from burnout, their brain is physically repairing itself. It is guzzling glucose to rebuild.
Wait, is this why, and I've heard this from so many people, when you quit drinking or smoking, you suddenly get this insane craving for sugar, like that I need a donut or someone's going to get hurt feeling.
Precisely. It's not just a habit swap, it's a biological demand. Your hardware is overheating and it's screaming for fuel. And knowing that is huge because it helps you stop beating yourself up. You aren't weak for eating the donut. Your engine is just empty.
That is actually really validating. So we have this hungry, jelly-like machine,
Mm-hmm.
and inside, the neurons,
Mm.
the way they talk to each other, and I had this terrifying analogy.
The gunshots.
Yeah.
So neurons communicate with action potentials, basically tiny electrical spikes. Anna makes the point that if you hooked a single neuron up to a loudspeaker, that signal would sound like a gunshot. Pop, pop, pop. And since you have billions of them, your brain is just this constant, deafening war zone of activity.
And amidst all that noise, the brain creates patterns. This brings us to probably the most famous rule in neuroscience: neurons that fire together.
Wire together. This is the basis of neuroplasticity, the idea that the brain changes its own shape based on what we do.
Like a path through a forest.
Exactly like a path in a forest. If you walk the same path every single day, the grass gets trampled, the dirt packs down, and pretty soon you don't even have to think. You just slide into that groove.
So if I repeat a decision, say pouring a drink at 5 p.m. or scrolling on my phone when I feel anxious, I am literally paving a highway in my brain.
You're thickening the connection. You're making that neural pathway the path of least resistance. The brain loves efficiency. It wants the highway.
Which explains why habits are so hard to break.
Yeah.
But here's where Anna gets into that ghost in the machine territory, the mystery of unlearning.
Yes. This is where the computer science background kind of hits a wall. In AI, we know how to wire things together. We're great at that. But we don't fully understand how the human brain unwires those deep grooves.
Because the groove is still there, isn't it? Even if you stop using it.
It's still there. Anna gives this visceral example of walking down the street and smelling their drug of choice. And suddenly the brain gets hijacked, that old highway lights up, the gunshots are firing, it's a reflex.
And this is the whole point. They keep walking.
They keep walking, and that's the miracle. Despite the biology screaming, go left, take the highway, the person chooses to go right. Science can explain the trigger perfectly, but it really struggles to explain that moment of resistance, that choice.
Okay, so we have the wiring, which can be a trap, but every system has a glitch. And for trauma and addiction, Anna points to this tiny almond-sized troublemaker, the amygdala.
The amygdala, the brain's threat detector. Its entire job is to scan everything, your environment, your memories, and ask one question. Is this dangerous?
And I'm guessing for someone with a history of trauma, the answer is almost always yes.
That is the problem. Trauma and addiction, the amygdala is just constantly pulling the fire alarm. It has a threat bias. It sees a neutral face as angry, a delay in a text message as abandonment. And when that fire alarm is ringing, the thinking parts of the brain just shut down.
That explains so much. You know, when you're stressed and your partner asks, did you take out the trash? And you react like they just declared war on you.
Right. Your amygdala heard a threat, not a question about garbage.
So how do we turn it off? Because you can't just think your way out of a panic attack.
No, you can't logic your way out of a biological reflex.
Mm-hmm.
But Anna brings in this concept from Buddhist philosophy that frames it perfectly. It's called the second arrow.
I love this. Can you break it down for us?
So the first arrow is the event. Something painful happens. You get a craving, you lose your job, whatever. That pain is inevitable. It's part of life. You can't dodge the first arrow.
Okay. Pain happens. Got it.
But then comes our reaction. That's the second arrow. It's the story we tell ourselves. I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm such a failure for feeling this. I need a drink to make this stop.
So the first arrow is the craving. The second arrow is the shame about the craving.
Exactly. And Anna argues that the second arrow is where all the suffering actually comes from. The amygdala fires the first arrow, danger, but our conscious mind fires the second arrow, catastrophe.
And the solution is not to fight the amygdala, but to learn to catch that second arrow before we launch it.
That's it. That's where things like meditation come in. It creates a gap, a tiny pause between the impulse and the action.
Now, we can't talk about this without talking about dopamine. I feel like it gets a bad rap. We just think of it as the pleasure molecule.
It's massively misunderstood. We think dopamine equals pleasure, but Anna points out it's actually about movement and motivation. It's the go signal.
Anna referenced the movie Awakenings.
Right, with Robin Williams. Those patients were catatonic because they had a lack of dopamine. They literally couldn't initiate movement. They were given L-DOPA, which is a precursor to dopamine, and they awoke. They could move, they could dance.
But then it went too far.
Yeah. If you boost dopamine too high, you don't just get happiness, you get hallucinations, paranoia, ticking.
So it's this delicate balance. Too little, you're frozen. Too much, you're seeing ghosts.
And just enough as a runner's high. But addiction is artificially spiking that system, just flying the engine with fuel it wasn't designed for.
Okay, so we have the wiring, the amygdala, the dopamine engine. Now we need the manager, the part that's supposed to keep this all in check. Anna uses this great metaphor of a flashlight in a dark room.
This is the prefrontal cortex, the PFC, the executive center behind your forehead. And attention is that flashlight. You're in a dark room full of chaos and information, and you can only see what you point the flashlight at.
And the PFC is the hand holding the flashlight.
Correct. But here's where Anna's take on the ego gets really interesting. Because usually we hear kill the ego, dissolve the ego.
Yeah, Anna took a hard left turn there. They compared the ego to a liver.
I know, it sounds so unglamorous.
It sounds kind of gross. My ego is a detox organ.
In a way, yes. Look, your liver isn't evil. It just has a job. It filters toxins. Anna argues the ego is the same. It's just a mental organ designed to filter reality and solve problems. It exists to protect you. It's a mechanism.
But it can get clogged or be too aggressive.
Its downside is tunnel vision. When the ego is trying to protect you from the reality of your addiction, it uses denial. It points the flashlight away from the scary stuff. It narrows the beam to just safety and survival.
So meditation isn't about killing the ego. It's about asking it to just widen the beam.
It's about letting the ego step back for a minute so the flashlight beam widens. And suddenly you can see the whole room, not just the one scary thing in the corner.
That makes so much more sense. This moves us into the human element, because Anna makes a really specific distinction between emotions and feelings. I thought they were the same thing.
In casual conversation, they are. But Anna draws a hard line. Emotions are biological. Adrenaline spiking, heart rate going up. You can measure them with blood tests. A dog has emotions.
Okay, so emotion is the body reacting. What's a feeling?
A feeling is the subjective story we attach to that biology. I am sad because my friend didn't call. This is where the self enters the picture. It's how we make sense of the data.
And this is where pure science starts to fall short, right? You can give someone a pill to lower their heart rate, but that doesn't fix the feeling of loneliness.
Exactly. And Anna argues against what they call brain-centric reasoning. The brain isn't in a jar, it's connected to the body, and it's connected to other people.
Which brings us to one of the wildest practical tools in the lecture,
Yeah.
the non-dominant hand thing.
Yes.
Anna suggests you should take a pen in your non-dominant hand, which, for me, would look like a chicken scratched it.
That's the point.
Yeah.
You ask a question with your dominant logical hand, like, how are you feeling? And you let your non-dominant hand write the answer.
Why does that even work? Is it magic?
It's anatomy. The brain is cross-wired. Your right hand is controlled by your left hemisphere, the logical, linguistic, adult side. Your left hand is connected to the right hemisphere, the emotional, nonverbal, creative side.
The side that doesn't usually get to speak.
Exactly. You're bypassing the logical gatekeeper. You are forcing communication across the corpus callosum, the bridge between the two halves. And people find their non-dominant hand writes things like, I'm scared or I'm lonely, when their logical brain thought they were fine.
That is wild. It's like hacking your own hardware to get a straight answer from your soul, which speaks to community. Anna is adamant that we don't heal alone.
We can't. It's biologically impossible. We rely on mirroring. When I look at you and you are calm and compassionate, my brain literally mirrors that state. We sync up.
So 12-step programs or group therapy, it's not just the advice. It's sitting in a room with regulated people, which helps regulate your own nervous system.
Yes. You are borrowing their calm until you can build your own.
Now, we have to get to the climax of this. We've talked about neurons, chemicals, organs, but Anna goes further. Anna talks about the emergent property, the soul. And there's this story about a bet that just perfectly captures it.
Oh, the bet. This is legendary. So it's 1998. You have Christoph Koch, a heavy hitter neuroscientist, a total materialist, and you have David Chalmers, a philosopher.
At a bar in Germany.
Of course. And they make a wager, a case of fine wine. Koch bets that within 25 years, science will find the neural correlates of consciousness.
Meaning, he bet we'd be able to point to a specific cluster of neurons on a brain scan and say, that right there, that is you. That's the thing that feels love.
Right. He thought we'd solve the soul with a map.
Well, 25 years was up in 2023. Who won the wine?
Chalmers, the philosopher, won. Koch had to admit defeat. Despite all our technology, science still hasn't found exactly where the person lives in the brain. We can find the seat of language or fear, but the thing that is aware of the fear, the observer, it's nowhere on the map.
That is weirdly comforting.
And it is, isn't it? It suggests we're more than the sum of our parts. But for someone with trauma, that mystery can be painful. Anna talks about the hippocampus, the seahorse of the brain, which stores your life's narrative.
The timeline.
The timeline, I did this, then that happened. Trauma shatters it. It fragments the narrative. That's why people dissociate. The brain walls off experiences to survive.
So the self gets chopped into pieces.
Exactly. And healing is about integration, bringing those walled-off parts back. Therapies like EMDR or somatic experiencing are designed to help the two halves of the brain process those stuck memories.
So if we zoom out,
Yeah.
we have the hardware, the neurons, the wiring, and we have the software community, narrative, connection. What's the big takeaway?
The takeaway is that you cannot fix the person by only looking at the cell. We have to guard against that brain-centric reasoning. Yes, understand the biology so you don't shame yourself for an amygdala that's freaking out. That's just biology.
Right. It's not a moral failing. It's a hyperactive almond in your skull.
Exactly. But the solution isn't just a pill. It's holistic. It's about safety, community, and rebuilding your story with other people.
There's a moment in the Q&A that really stuck with me. It's about the paradox of control. And I think this is where we should land.
It's the ultimate question. If our brains are just machines governed by physics and chemistry, do we actually have free will? If the wiring says use the drug, do we have a choice?
Anna doesn't give a definitive answer, which I respect. But they seem to lean toward the idea that recovery is a choice, even if science can't explain how we make it.
Right. In recovery, we act as if we have a choice. We cultivate that pause. We try to stop the second arrow.
It makes you wonder. If the brain is wired for survival and wired to seek relief from pain, and addiction creates the strongest wiring of all,
Then the ability to say no is almost a miracle.
right. Is that ability to choose not to use? Is that just some biological function we haven't found yet? Or is that proof of something else, something spiritual, the soul overriding the machine?
It's the ghost in the machine. And maybe that's what recovery is. It's the ghost learning to drive the machine better instead of letting the machine drive itself into a ditch.
I love that. The ghost learning to drive the machine.
It takes practice.
Yeah.
And it takes other ghosts, other people, helping you read the map.
Well, on that note, we're going to leave you to ponder your own machinery and the ghost driving it. A huge thank you to the source material from Anna for this perspective.
It's a reminder that we are complicated, messy, and wonderfully capable of change.
Absolutely. Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care of your wetware.